Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Town Council meeting for September 15th. If you'll please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, great. So tonight we're going to start our meeting with something a little bit special. For those of you who may know or you may not know, this week is National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. And believe it or not, I just came to learn this, that we have quite a few adult education learners here in Rocky Hill who come to GMS at night, and the Middletown Adult Education delivers services for them. And so the stories that I heard from the Career Navigator are just, it's really wonderful. And they provide such a wonderful service. So I wanted to recognize them this evening, and they are here tonight. So I'm going to call up Ralph D'Amato, who is the director of Middletown Adult Education. You can come right up to the podium. And I'm also going to call up Madeline Cruz, who is a Career Navigator. And Madeline is here with her daughter and her grandson. They're more than welcome to come up as well as we do the proclamation. So I'm going to run over there. Okay, so I'm going to just read this. It says, more than 43 million Americans can't read or write at the most basic level, while 62.7 lack basic math skills, as well as the credentials and skills necessary to succeed in post-secondary education. In Connecticut, there are 174,269 working age adults 18 to 64, without a high school credential. In Connecticut, there are 210,603 adults who do not speak English well or at all. In 2023 to 2024, Connecticut adult education programs provided services for just under 20,000 adult learners. American Action Forum estimates that America is short an estimated 7.5 million private sector workers across all skill levels. Adult education programs contribute to solving these challenges by helping Americans move along the continuum in their educational journey to achieve basic skills and get prepared for career in college. The adult education in Connecticut offers low-cost, high-value programs in every community focused on providing a high school credential, citizenship training, English as a second language, digital literacy, workforce development skills, all of which are designed to elevate the economic self-sufficiency of our citizens. And Middletown, Connecticut celebrates Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, as does Rocky Hill, as a proud participant in the National Educate and Elevate campaign, which helps our citizens learn all about adult education options to attain their personal and professional goals. So therefore, we are going to proclaim September 15th through the 19th as Adult Education and Family Literacy Week in the town of Rocky Hill. And we want to thank you both so much for what you do. And if you'd like to say a few words about your services, we'd love to hear that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your support. So good evening. My name is Ralph D'Amato. I'm the director of Middletown Adult Education. And Middletown Adult Education not only spans Middletown, but also our surrounding towns, such as Rocky Hill. And so your students come to us, whether it's at our flagship location at downtown Middletown, or we do have push-out services at your middle school on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And we do have a third location in Old Saybrook because we do span a larger geographic area. And like the mayor said, we are a program that really is focused on getting students job ready or career ready or post-secondary ready. So whether that's getting a credential to get a GED or a credit diploma, or to brushing up their English so then they could then be ready for the workforce. So I'd like to thank the mayor and your Board of Education who supports Middletown Adult Education, which also connects with your students. And we want to continue our positive work in the community and in the labor force. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. I'll be quick. I just want to say that without adult education, I would not be here. When I came back from Puerto Rico, I was born in Philadelphia, I moved back to Connecticut. I couldn't speak English. And my first thing was go to adult education, and look at me now, helping students move ahead in life. And I just want to be quick, but I would like to say that 2 success stories that come to mind. There are 2 sisters that live right here in Rocky Hill. Adult education changed their lives. One of them completed GED, and she took a training for manufacturing. She just graduated. The program paid for her to go to school. She has a certificate on manufacturing, blueprint reading, and OSHA 10, and now I'm assisting her to find employment. Her sister took a nail technician certificate after completing her GED, and they're both reside here. They're both success story, and this was because of adult education. Like that, we have many success stories from Rocky Hill as well. So thank you for everything that you do and for allowing us to be in this beautiful city.
Okay, great. We're going to move on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment via email should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting to have their public comment read into the record. So the floor is open. Just make sure you state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, town manager. My name is Francis Whalen III, co-owner of Hayes Farm, located 269 Hayes Road in Rocky Hill. Speaking tonight as a 5th-generation farmer from Rocky Hill, many of you know me as Farmer Fran. Since June of this year, I've been dealing with the town engineer Sopolik about various plans that the town has to narrow Hayes Road. They wanted to narrow it from 12 feet to 11-foot lanes in the vicinity of West Meadow. There's also a plan to install a crosswalk and complete the sidewalks on the east side of Hayes Road. I and many others have been concerned about the narrowing of the travel lanes, but we all support the crosswalk and the sidewalk. There are many safety concerns that people have brought about the narrowing of the road. Safety concerns have been brought to the town engineer and other town officials at the hall. Hayes Road has a sign posted notifying drivers that Hayes Road is a bicycle-friendly road. Narrowing the road will force bicyclists and cars as they travel in this area closer together for an unneeded risk. By narrowing the road, you're forcing cars to pass each other closer proximity. One distracted driver on a cell phone or an impaired driver could easily drift into the other lane, causing a sideswipe or a collision. Hayes Road also has a sign posted that Rocky Hill is a right to farm town. Farmers from Rocky Hill, Berlin, Weathersfield all use Hayes Road to travel. Most farm equipment towed by tractors is 12 foot in length or wider. And if the town narrows this to 11-foot lane, it will force the traffic and the farmers to be in a dangerous situation as they would have to travel outside their lane. Farmers need a 12-foot lane to travel safely without being forced to be in somebody else's lane. The remaining farms in town have been united about not narrowing this road. Written communication we read here tonight and/or other farmers have spoken directly with the mayor. The farms that want this road safe in our town are Hayes, Gilbert, Harris, Straska, Meisling, Bacchio, Collins, Matway, and Lifship Thoreau. Last Friday, thanks to our town manager Carpentino, we had a meeting with the engineer Sopolik. Town manager Carpentino listened to the farmers' needs and their safe travel needs. I was told now that the road will not be narrowed to the 12-foot, from the 12-foot lane. The crosswalk will be installed, and I want to thank our town manager Carpentino for listening and helping out everybody to keep Hayes Road safe. I also want to thank the countless number of people who voiced their concerns about the safety on Hayes Road. Thank you all for allowing me to speak.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Whalen. I live at 300 Hayes Road. I'm here to read a petition that's been signed by 100 different people who support the not widening of, or the narrowing of the road. The town of Rocky Hill is proposing to narrow Hayes Road in the vicinity of West Meadow Road. The town plans to narrow both sides of Hayes Road from the current 12-foot lane to 11-foot lane in each direction. The plan is to either move the curb in permanently or install raised reflective structures to narrow the roadway. There would be a crosswalk installed south of West Meadow Road. The town's plan is that the narrowing of the travel lanes would slow traffic and create a safer, calmer road. We, as Rocky Hill residents and/or motorists who travel on Hayes Road, are concerned that the narrowing of Hayes Road travel lanes would result in the area becoming dangerous. We agree that it is a good idea to install a crosswalk in this area, but we would ask that the town of Rocky Hill not reduce the travel lanes of Hayes Road with any design. Some concerns we have in the roadway, if the roadway is narrowed, include by narrowing the road, vehicle traffic will pass each other in closer proximity. An impaired driver or distracted driver would result in a sideswipe or head-on accident. The proposed plan is going to be created at a crest of a hill which has limited visibility. Hayes Road is posted as a bike-friendly road. By narrowing the travel lanes, this would result in bicyclists and vehicles traveling closer to each other, creating unsafe conditions. Rocky Hill is posted as a right-to-farm town. Hayes Farm, located on Hayes Road, often travels the road with tractors and farm machinery. Some of their farm machinery is 12 feet in width, which would force them to travel partially into the opposite lane, creating a dangerous situation. Is an 11-foot lane wide enough for a fire truck to safely operate while responding to a hot call if there is a vehicle approaching them in the opposite direction? And would there be safe travel lanes for large delivery trucks, tractor trailers, or construction vehicles to drive through? The following people oppose any type of plans by the town of Rocky Hill to narrow Hayes Road, and there's 100 signatures that will be submitted for town record. Thank you.
Philip Thoreau of 449 Trinity Ridge. I'm the manager of the Star of David Christmas Tree Farm, and on behalf of the co-owner, David Thoreau, I wanted to say that even though our farm is a small operation and we infrequently use oversized equipment, we share the safety concerns voiced by the larger farm owners. Safety should be the highest priority. And I was glad to hear from Mr. Whalen that they're reconsidering narrowing the road. I think it would behoove the council and the town manager and the town engineers to devise a plan that will provide safe passage on Hayes Road for farm equipment, general traffic, and pedestrians. Thank you.
Lisa Gilbert, 730 Elm Street, Rocky Hill, owner of Gilbert Farm, LLC. I just would like to thank our town manager, Ray Carpentino, Mayor Lisa Murata, town council members, and our town engineer, Steve Sopolik, for taking into consideration on the Complete Streets project for Hayes Road that the town will not narrow Hayes Road. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Breonna Davis Reyes and formerly lived at 55 Riverview Road. Okay, so my name is Dr. Breonna Davis Reyes, and I lived here in Rocky Hill with my mother until recently. We left due to prejudice and racism from multiple sources. I will give you one poignant example. On May 24th, a young white man came onto our property, called us the N-word with the hard R, and spit directly on our security camera, and this was completely unprovoked. That same camera caught it, and that video has since gone viral across social media. Not only was this unprovoked, but I had no prior history with this young man. To that point, I didn't even know his name until the video of his actions went public. And he certainly didn't know me. He didn't know that I have a PhD in biomedical sciences with a specialty in translational neuroscience. He didn't know that I went to Yale for my postdoctoral studies. He didn't know that I teach and mentor and work hard in my community. The moment wasn't just ugly, it was hateful, and it was meant to dehumanize me and my family. It was a reminder that no matter what I achieve, someone can still look at me, strip away my dignity, and try to reduce me to a slur. Just a little history on my family. My great-great-grandmother's name was Darkest. That wasn't her real name. It was what the slave owners called her because of the complexion of her skin, so like the darkest one. Her tongue was burned with a hot iron for speaking too loosely. My grandmother, so not my great-grandmother, but my grandmother, never made it past the 8th grade. She worked in white women's homes, cleaning and caring for their children. My mother was always too dark in complexion to be treated fairly, always getting the shorter end of the stick. And I worked three to four times as hard in school to prove that I belonged and that I had earned my PhD. I am the product of women who endured America, and as I stand before you in Rocky Hill, in America, not much has changed. I am asking you to see what is right in front of your eyes and to stop dismissing it because you haven't lived it. You don't have to live something to believe that someone else has. And contrary to what you might hear, I think empathy is far too important of a concept to be thrown to the wayside. Empathy is not a weakness, it is the line that prevents us from doing heinous things to each other, and we should be more empathetic as a country now more than ever. To be quite frank, I don't know what I hope to achieve by speaking here. Maybe just that one or two of you really listen to me, but I think mostly I just want you to take what happened to me seriously and not allow another family to feel unsafe to the point of leaving Rocky Hill. That's it. If you're interested in seeing the video of the incident, it's if you search my name, Breonna Davis Reyes, it's all across social media, and that's it.
I'm going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules for a minute.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Dr. Reyes, I just want to commend you, and I want to applaud you for being vulnerable and coming here this evening. I know that that's not easy, especially when you're in front of a group like this, in this particular setting, and knowing that this is recording and knowing that it's going to go out to the public. I have seen that video, and it's horrific. You're absolutely right. And so I would encourage everybody who is watching, if they want to get involved in conversations that are difficult like this, to take a look at what you and your mom have gone through. And again, I praise you for coming here, and I don't know what more I can offer you at this time. I hope that you will be at our Unity event and to share more of your experiences, because that's really what brings us together, right, is when we can break down these barriers, when we can have conversations, we can learn through others' lived experiences, is really what shapes community. Anyone else wish to say anything?
Thank you for coming up.
I would briefly,
Okay.
I am very proud of you that you came forward like this. I think it's something that we all need to hear, and we all support you, and I'm proud that you're a resident of Rocky Hill, and we hope that you'll stay.
Okay, we're going to move on. Anyone else for public comment? Nope. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
Joanne.
yeah, we
Joanne
have-
has letters.
We have 20-some odd letters, and
Okay.
Joanne and I will split reading
Go ahead.
each one.
We're ready.
Yes, thank
You
you.
go first, Joanne.
Thank you, Town Manager Carpentino, for helping out. Okay, the first one says to Rocky Hill Town Council, Public Safety Committee, Engineering Department, Town Manager. Subject, support for Hayes Farm and recommendations for thoughtful planning on Hayes Road. Dear members of the Town Council, Public Safety Committee, Engineering Department, and Town Manager, I am writing to express my support for Hayes Farm regarding the proposed road narrowing on Hayes Road. While this issue may have been resolved by the time of this letter, it highlights an important need for more deliberate and collaborative decision-making in our town. It is concerning that a plan affecting a road named after the very farm it supports appears to have been developed without listening to the very stakeholders most directly impacted. Efforts to improve pedestrian safety, such as crosswalks, signage, and traffic calming measures, are important and commendable. However, this sounds similar to past examples, like the stop sign installed and subsequently removed near Pondside Circle. It suggests that current processes may sometimes lack necessary foresight. As a right-to-farm community, our roads should be safe for pedestrians, vehicles, and farm equipment. Safety enhancements must strike a balance. Crosswalk signage and prudent traffic calming measures should improve accessibility for pedestrians without impeding the movement of farm equipment or creating unforeseen problems. I urge the town to take this as an opportunity to strengthen its planning and consultation processes in the future. Sincerely, Alan Smith, candidate for mayor. Hello, Town Manager Carpentino. My name is David Leal. I am a lifelong Rocky Hill resident who lives at 19 Textbook Avenue, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, 06067. I am writing to urge the town and its relevant authorities to support the road narrowing and improve road safety at the intersection of Hayes and West Meadow Roads. I am a product of Rocky Hill Public Schools, and I was fortunate to walk to school nearly every day from the first to my junior year at RHHS. It helped to shape who I am, and experts note the benefits of it. From improved physical health to creativity in the classroom, you cannot deny its upsides. Though student safety is a concern when it comes to walking, I was fortunate to live on the east side of town where there's better infrastructure for students to walk to school. The west side of town deserves walk-friendly infrastructure too. This intersection would make it easier for students to get to West Hill via the Pondside Lane, Walkway, or New Britain Avenue. This is something that the town should encourage, as more students walking to school means less traffic on the roads. I still run around town for exercise. I make sure to use the sidewalks when available and wear reflective clothing when it gets dark. Motorists should have to make sacrifices like I have to. From studies I have seen and in my personal experience, drivers go slower on narrower and curvier roads. I also want to address some of the claims made in the Hayes Farm Facebook post. If this gets passed, I would like to ask if the farm would be at threat of closure. I was given that impression. If an incursion into traffic is needed, there should be signage reflecting so. Even then, drivers should have the courtesy to yield. Yes, this farm has been around since the 19th century, but we also must look at the concerns of all residents and their needs, current and future. Thank you to all the town's officials for their work and for considering my input. And I hope some sort of improved diet crosswalk is added for pedestrian safety. Regards, David Yeel. Town Manager Carpentino and colleagues, I was recently made aware of a situation that affects a place that is near and dear to our family's heart, Hayes Farm, and specifically Hayes Road. Some of our family members have worked at the Hayes Farm for years, so of course safety is a top priority for us. However, recently I was made aware of a plan put forth by the town of Rocky Hill to narrow the lanes on Hayes Road, near West Meadow Road, from 12 feet to 11 feet wide, with the intent to slow down traffic. Additionally, a plan has been introduced to put in a pedestrian crosswalk. I am in support of protecting pedestrians by adding a crosswalk, and this is a great idea. However, how does narrowing the lanes slow traffic? If anything, it may just make it harder for wider trucks and equipment to travel and potentially push drivers into oncoming traffic. My recommendation is, instead of adjusting the lanes to be narrower, which I'm sure costs the taxpayers money, perhaps place a police officer there more frequently or add a traffic camera that could issue speeding tickets or even a sign that tells drivers to slow down if they go over the speed limit, or possibly add a few speed bumps. Any of these tactics individually or even all of them combined would likely cost about the same or less than adjusting the lanes, which in my opinion would likely not slow down traffic substantially. And in fact, it could cause more accidents with oncoming traffic. Thank you for your time. Best, Beth Morris. Dear Town Manager Carpentino and Rocky Hill Council members, I am writing to express serious concerns about the proposed narrowing of Hayes Road, as highlighted by the Hayes family, who have owned and operated a farm there since 1868. The decision to proceed with this project, despite their repeated concerns, raises questions about the council's commitment to supporting local agriculture and the safety of our community. If this construction moves forward, it could be perceived as a deliberate move against the interests of longstanding local farms, suggesting that private interests or external pressures are influencing the council's decisions. The Hayes family's plea to maintain the road's current state for the safety of all residents, not just those in Rocky Hill, deserves your immediate attention and reconsideration. I urge you to address this at the next town council meeting and reconsider the project to protect our local heritage and ensure transparency in your decision-making process. Please confirm receipt of this email and your intent to discuss this matter. Sincerely, Dustin Wolf. Dear Mr. Carpentino, I am writing to you on behalf of the Hayes Farm because of the idea to make Hayes Road narrower. I first want to give you some of my background. I just graduated from Rocky Hill High School this spring, and I'm currently in Iowa at Iowa State pursuing agriculture. I worked for the Whalens family for over 4 years. They are incredible people. Narrowing Hayes Road is incredibly dangerous for the farmers in town. We have very wide equipment, and we have no choice but to use Hayes Road to get to places safely. I've only been driving for about 2 years, and I never grew up driving farm equipment. If the road is narrowed, this makes my job so much harder. I would be forced to go into the other lane, and with the hill on Hayes Road, this would be incredibly dangerous for not just me, but whoever is in the other lane because they could not see me. There's also the congestibility issue. Hayes Road would become very congested. I do not understand why this would be necessary. I have been on that road every day for over 4 years, and not many people speed. Yes, there may be some people who do, but speeding can happen on every street in town. Congesting the roads would make people angry too. People have been using that road to get home and to work every day. Adding time to get people home after a long day is also not safe. I am all for accessibility, and you probably have a good reason in your head to do this. However, Rocky Hill is a right to farm town. The Whalen family has a right to farm, and that must include the town backing them up to keep them safe. Narrowing the road makes driving down Hayes Road dangerous for them, other people who use it daily, and me, who is still new to driving large equipment. I urge you to reconsider this change to Hayes Road in order to keep so many people safe. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions about my opinion, please feel free to email me. Thank you, Emily Morris. Hi, Raymond. I understand that the town believes that narrowing Hayes Road would decrease speed and traffic. I respectfully request that you support our local farmers who have lived and worked the land on either side of Hayes Road for years and years. It is difficult enough to dedicate your life to farming. We do not need to add to the struggle. The extremely hardworking members of Hayes Farm have valued and enjoyed their commitment to producing food to numerous Rocky Hill families in surrounding towns for decades. We need to ensure that their equipment can be easily driven in a safe and secure manner, protecting their neighbors in all traffic utilizing the road. Narrowing the road will simply, without question, cause seriously dangerous conditions for all. We should show consideration for the Hayes family and their longtime dedication to the Rocky Hill community by finding other solutions to the speeding problem. I grew up in Rocky Hill and haven't lived there in over 40 years. I cannot imagine making any changes to Hayes Road that would jeopardize such a lovely environment for all to safely live and thrive in. Respectfully, Cecilia Hayes. To whom it may concern, I would like to formally register my opposition to the proposal to narrow Hayes Road. While I understand the goal of slowing traffic, there are far more cost-effective and less disruptive solutions available. Reducing the width of the road would also create serious safety concerns, particularly for the farms in the area. Large tractors and agricultural vehicles rely on Hayes Road, and restricting access would increase risks for both farmers and the community, placing vehicles and pedestrians in greater danger. Local farming is a vital part of our town's identity and well-being. Time and again, residents have voted to preserve open space and support agricultural activity, recognizing its value to our community. This proposal runs counter to those commitments and places an unnecessary burden on the very farms we have pledged to protect. For these reasons, I urge you to reconsider narrowing Hayes Road and instead pursue alternatives that enhance safety while continuing to support our farmers and the broader community. Thank you, Nicole Dorio. Dear Mr. Carpentino, I am writing today to oppose the narrowing of Hayes Road at West Meadow Road. While I do favor the crosswalk, I believe a solution provided for that as well as for the safe operation of farm equipment in this area would best serve the people of Rocky Hill. The current plan endangers both the farmers and those who drive on Hayes Road. Tax dollars might better be spent marking a crosswalk with signage rather than narrowing the road. Sincerely, a lifelong resident who grew up on Hayes Farm, Mary Lynn Hayes, Sacerdote, 292 Trinity Ridge. My name is Jeffrey Harris, the owner of Harris Agricultural Enterprise, Inc., located in Wethersfield, Connecticut. I have been a farmer my entire life. I am aware that the town of Rocky Hill plans to narrow Hayes Road. I am a Rocky Hill taxpayer, being that I own land in the Rocky Hill Meadows. I travel Hayes Road with my farm equipment to get to the Rocky Hill Meadows, as it is the most direct route from my farm. The narrowing of Hayes Road by any length would increase chances of an accident involving farm tractors towing farm machinery. Most farm machinery is wider than 12 feet. Farmers need wider roads, not narrow roads. I also operate tractor trailers, towing flatbed trailers. My tractor trailers are registered with farm plates as I haul my hay from the Rocky Hill Meadows while traveling on Hayes Road. With the use of my tractor trailers and flatbed trailers by narrowing Hayes Road as I'm hauling hay to my farm, the town of Rocky Hill will be creating a possible dangerous situation as they drive through this narrow section. Why would a town create a dangerous road design at the crest of a hill with limited visibility? Please do not narrow Hayes Road by any means. Reminder that Rocky Hill is a right-to-farm town, which should be keeping farmers safe as they travel on Rocky Hill roads. Thank you. Jeffrey Harris, 402 Rod Highway, Wethersfield, Connecticut, 06109. My name is Ethan Meisterling, living at 969 France Street in Rocky Hill. I come from a family of farmers, as we still farm here in Rocky Hill. I understand that the town of Rocky Hill plans to narrow a portion of Hayes Road to 11 feet. I am concerned for the farmers who drive on Hayes Road because a lot of the farm machinery is over 12 feet in width. With the road being narrowed, it will force farmers to drive in the oncoming traffic lane. This road design will put farmers and drivers traveling in the opposite direction at a risk of being in an accident. Why would the town think about narrowing this road even after Hayes Farm has brought this common sense safety concern to their attention? Another concern I have is that I am unaware of any accidents at this intersection of Hayes Road and West Meadow Road. Shouldn't there be a reason why the town picked this location? This has been a safe intersection. If the town moves forward with this plan, I feel that they will be creating an unsafe area. Please do not narrow Hayes Road. Let's keep everyone safe. Thank you, Ethan Meisterling. Town Manager Carpentino. I come from a family of farms, and I continue to farm in Rocky Hill. I am writing because I am against the narrowing of Hayes Road because if narrowed, it would create an unsafe area. Rocky Hill is a right-to-farm town, and the town should not narrow Hayes Road in the area of West Meadow Road. Hayes Farm and other farmers drive on Hayes Road with their tractors and farm machinery. It is not uncommon for farm machinery to be wider than the town's proposed 11-foot lanes. The proposed plan the town has would force farmers towing wide machinery to drive partially onto oncoming traffic, increasing the chances of a collision. The town will be responsible for placing people in dangerous situations, so much for supporting farmers. If the town does narrow the road, what is to stop a motorist from speeding off after they exit this narrowed road area? If somebody wants to speed, they will speed. If the town believes there is a speeding problem on Hayes Road, maybe they should consider installing cameras that can detect speed and issue the driver a ticket. Why not generate revenue? Another consideration, if the town does narrow the road, would it be during winter snowstorms? Plow trucks usually do not plow from curb to curb. The snow will generally narrow the width of the travel lanes as the plow trucks plow. So the 11-foot lanes will be narrower, increasing the chances of cars passing each other colliding. The bottom line is that narrowing of Hayes Road will create a non-safe area. Please do not narrow Hayes Road with any design plan. Thank you, Anthony Straska, 11 Copper Beach Drive, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, 06067. That's it.
My turn. I do not think that Hayes Road speed issue would be solved by narrowing the road. There is much farm machinery that goes to and from Hayes Farm, and it would cause congestion or an accident because of the size of most of the equipment used by the farm. All of the machinery, all the farmers in town are people who are always in a hurry and feel the need to pass farm machinery without thinking of the consequences. We have a fine police department in town, and let them do their job in controlling and enforcing the speed on this road. Thank you. Joan Brick, partner in Backheel Farm on 1160 France Street. Dear Town Manager Carpentino, the town has been advised there is a speed issue, so what should the town do after reviewing the claim? To reduce speeding, implement a traffic calming measure such as a speed bump, which physically alters the road to slow drivers down. Speed bumps are much more economical than narrowing a road. Sincerely, Amy C. McGuire. Dear Town Manager Carpentino, I am writing regarding the proposed changes to the intersection of West Meadow Road and Hayes Road. I live on and walk in the area of West Meadow and Hayes Road frequently. It is a challenge to cross over West Meadow while standing on the east side of Hayes Road, and I believe a crosswalk and possibly a sign would help to alert drivers that people may be crossing in this area. It may be the protocol to narrow the road in order to slow traffic in these types of situations. However, because of the farm equipment that travels along with the car traffic and pedestrians in this area, it seems our circumstances may need a unique solution. Please reconsider the option to narrow the road at that intersection so that we can take care of everyone who needs to use that stretch of road. Sincerely, Morris Sullivan, 194 West Meadow Road. To whom it may concern, I am writing to express my concern regarding the proposed road changes near Hayes, specifically the narrowing of lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet. While this may seem like a minor adjustment, it carries significant implications for road safety and local businesses. Changes of this nature should be backed by thorough research and a clear understanding of the potential consequences, especially for communities like Rocky Hill, where agriculture and local commerce depend heavily on the ability of larger vehicles to travel safely and effectively. Narrowing the lanes could pose challenges for trucks, farm equipment, and other larger vehicles that frequently use these roads. This not only raises safety concerns, but may also negatively impact businesses such as Hayes Farm Store, which play a vital role in the local economy and draw visitors like myself to the area. I urge decision makers to consider the voices of residents and stakeholders who will be directly affected. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Sincerely, Maria. This is from Maria Grabowski. Hello, Manager Carpentino. I am a resident of Rocky Hill, and I am writing you to let you know that I do not think that narrowing Hayes Road from 12-foot lanes to 11-foot lanes is a beneficial idea. I think adding a crosswalk is a great idea because it will increase safety of the road, but narrowing the car lanes on that road will increase risk for everyone who uses the road and lives on the road. We love Hayes Farm, and they frequently need to move equipment on Hayes Road. This equipment can be 12 feet wide, which can make utilizing Hayes Road dangerous if narrowing to 11-foot lanes. For workers on Hayes Road, on Hayes Farm, other drivers, pedestrians, and even any animals that are near the road during a collision. Hayes Farm deserves to use the road as it is, since they have been wonderful contributors to the community and have paid their share of taxes, which in part goes to the road's upkeep. Please add the crosswalk, but please do not narrow the car lanes on Hayes Road. The increased safety from adding the crosswalk would be easily negated by narrowing the road. Any money saved from narrowing the road would be lost due to the damage from collisions. Thank you, Brianna Lundberg. To whom it may concern. I'm sending this message with great concern regarding the narrowing of Hayes Road near West Meadow from 12 feet to 11 feet. This will force our local farmers to drive their equipment vehicles on the other side of the road illegally due to the width of the machinery, potentially threatening their ability to continue their business, which is very important to us. This would also be putting other drivers and pedestrians at risk. Please reconsider this decision. Tiana Matkovic. Town Council members, I am concerned with the proposal to narrow Hayes Road in town. Hayes Farm is located in Hayes Road and travels it frequently with their equipment and machinery that exceeds the proposed width of 11 feet. How can this be seen as safe? It is my opinion that narrowing the lanes would or could possibly lead to collisions, sideswiping, and cause difficulty for farm equipment to safely pass. Considering the number of distractions farmers on the roads today, please consider possible negative outcomes as a result of narrowing lanes. Of all the roads in town that have drivers exceeding the speed limit, which are many, how did Hayes Road get chosen and no others? How did the road that would impact this farm equipment get chosen to address and no other? Please be respectful of the hardworking farmers in this location and let them continue to work safely. We are a right-to-farm town. Please do not accept this proposal to narrow Hayes Road. Thank you for consideration. Denise Mazamuro. Hang on. Town Council. I come from a long line of farmers in Rocky Hill. I'm aware of a plan that the town has to narrow Hayes Road, the road that Hayes Farm is located on. Many pieces of farm machinery owned by Hayes Farm has a width of 12 feet or slightly wider. I understand that the town wants to narrow the road lanes to 11 feet. This would create a dangerous condition if a farm tractor is towing a piece of farm machinery wider than 11 feet through the narrow section. The farmer would be forced to drive in the lane of oncoming traffic, possibly resulting in an accident. Please support farmers in town and let them continue to work and drive safely. Please do not narrow Hayes Road in any way. Hal Gilbert. Town Manager Carpentino and Town Council. I am not in favor of narrowing Hayes Road, as that is not a solution to slowing traffic. I suggest building a crosswalk and perhaps adding a slow sign, but narrowing the road will only make driving more dangerous as vehicles will potentially cross the line into oncoming traffic. In order to navigate a smaller space, particularly the farm equipment size utilized by the Hayes Farm, I support Hayes Farm, a long-time family-run, and leaving the width of Hayes Road as is. Charlene Lanza. I support the decision to keep Hayes Road lanes as they are and to install a crosswalk and warning signs. That approach involves safety while respecting how our farmers and local traffic actually operate. Thank you to town staff, elected officials, and the residents who spoke up and worked toward a practical outcome. Kind regards, Zach Van Luling. That concludes correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to appointments and resignations.
We have none.
I don't have any as well.
Do you have any, Mimi? Do you guys have any?
John said no.
Ah, thank you. All right, approval of the minutes, Town Council meeting, August 18th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I suggest an amendment to the agenda
Sure.
to,
I was going to take care of that, but
you can do that one.
separate one?
This is a
Okay.
separate one.
What's the other one?
Possibly relocating old business A to the next item before subcommittee reports. We have CGA, a company online, waiting to do their presentation for operational efficiency assessments.
Oh, okay. Want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to move old business item A up before the subcommittee reports.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And as long as we're amending the agenda, on the consent agenda, item B, resolution registrar salaries, I'd like to move that to new business item E as discussion, possible action, registrar salaries.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention. Okay. Subcommittees?
Nope.
Nope. Approval? Town
Old
coun-
business.
Oh, sorry. See how easy that is? Old business A, discussion possible action, shared services operational assessment, Zoom presentation, CGR.
I'll be right back.
Hi there.
Hello.
No, go ahead.
No, take it. I'm closer.
We just can't hear you.
Thanks.
1 minute.
Okay. We're warming up.
Not yet.
When he select the microphone. Crash course. Trying to do a speaker, you should be doing a microphone. Crash course in technology. I think we've all done this a few times in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Paul, can you hear us? Well, we can't hear you. We're working on it.
Paul, did you go to the audio again?
I think that's our guy doing that.
Yeah,
Oh, it
Raymond.
is?
Yeah.
Yes, that's our guy.
Hey, Raymond, can you go to the audio again?
No, microphone, because you're doing speaker before, okay. Well, problem, he's microphone. Paul?
Can we hear the other person that's on here?
Oh, there's another person too.
Wiley.
No, we
Can't
don't
hear you either, Wiley.
It's got to be on our side. Right? Because we had this earlier, public safety.
Switch the phone. Oh, you did?
Yeah. You can get somebody that was zooming in to talk. It was all the audio.
I don't think it's on the microphone, I think it's on the speakers.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Start doing the committee reports and come back.
Yeah, while they're doing that, sure. Why don't we go to subcommittee reports while we're doing this? So finance?
Sure.
Are we,
Are you sure? Because you might have to put my presentation up.
Well, but we're still on finance. Let's just do what we can, right? No?
we can circle back to public safety.
If he hops on, then we can.
Let's go.
You have something for finance?
Sure.
Yeah.
The Finance Committee met earlier this afternoon. We have two items on the consent agenda this evening. First is the awarded bid for the Beach Road culvert. The town received an ARPA grant for $250,000 via Senator Lesser over a year ago. The grant is due to expire this year, so we have an engineering plan for the Beach Road culvert. I believe is $126,500 for the project. The second item on the consent agenda is the Board of Education Internal Service Fund transfer of $16,164 to the capital non-reoccurring account, and that was part of our budget workshops. So this is just the official move of those items. We have on the special revenue, one of the items that we tend to look at is the fire department received $13,500 from the state for their responses to incidents up on 91. The fire department at this point is building up a balance to be used at a future date. So far, they're up to $97,000.
Wow.
So this will hopefully offset some future needs. On the town aid road, we've received our first funding of $232,745. Our tax collections is running pretty close to the 3-year average, just slightly under, running 55%, which is actually ahead of the prior year. So we're in pretty good shape. Very early in the year, so not a lot of discussion on expenditures. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 9th.
Okay, still seeing the black screen. Let's go to government ops.
Okay. Government operations met earlier today, and we had one topic on the agenda, and it was to discuss potential of putting any solar panels on any of the schools. I'm not going to get into all the details because it gets into a lot of minutia. And Mona, you can correct me for anything I say incorrectly, but the short version is because we have the Tesla farm, the solar farm, we have to be careful because we generate energy from the solar farm, and anything we don't use we get credits for, but you only have a certain amount of credits you can use, and then you lose them. So, and there's a whole lot of other things going on. So the gist of it is they're going to talk to Eversource to see about if we can renegotiate how we use our credits. And then based on that conversation, we'll see if it makes sense to further pursue putting solar panels on the roofs of the schools. If they aren't able to change it, then it's probably not going to be feasible to do so because we're already going to start to have more credits than we can even use as it is. So, so generating more electricity would not help us. So, but hopefully they can get some more with Eversource, and we'll report back at a subsequent meeting after they've had those discussions. That was the only topic, as I said. So I think our next meeting is scheduled for October 20th, if I have that date right. Actually, that's, do we have a town council? That's Diwali.
October 6th and...
Well, it would be the 20th, but.
It would be the 21st,
Second meeting.
right?
It's going to be the 21st, okay.
21st.
Gotcha, thanks.
Ray, do you think we're ready to go?
No.
Okay, moving on to public, we can't. We come
Because he's
back
got a
to you because you have a presentation.
Yeah, probably.
Senior liaison?
The senior liaison meets quarterly. Our next meeting is October 27th at 5 p.m.
Land acquisition and farmland preservation?
Regarding the town farm, last meeting we had last month, our town MDC rep, Dimple Desai, had worked with MDC, and he was able to waive the frontage fee for Long New Road to get public water into the farm property. Essentially, that's about $350,000 to $400,000 savings. So that's fantastic news. And obviously, being from the committee, we wanted to use the MDC water so we wouldn't have to have any worries about contaminants. So the water will come in and it'll be used for the barn as well as the community gardens. There'll be a spigot out there in the community gardens. So that's fantastic news, and that completes my report for tonight.
We're ready now with
Okay.
CGR.
Let's go. Okay. Good evening, Paul.
Able to hear us?
Yes.
Great, okay. Wiley, go ahead and get your camera on. I think you have our presentation up. I don't know whether I have control.
You should be able to.
There we go, okay. So good evening, thanks for the invitation. My name is Paul Bishop. I'm a principal with CGR. With me tonight is my colleague Wiley Little. We'll give a little bit more of an introduction in a second. But we just wanted to thank you for the invitation to be here to talk to you a little bit about the possibility of doing an evaluation of the town services. So what we're going to cover tonight, we'll introduce ourselves, to let you know a little bit about CGR, talk about, and when we say about CGR, we'll give you a little bit about our experience in doing this type of work. And then we would give you an example of what our approach would be if we were invited to work with you. And then kind of how the timeline would work. So again, been with CGR for about 13 years. I'm a principal and I lead our local government practice. What that means is I am responsible for all of our projects that involve local government. So that's counties, cities, towns, villages, boroughs, whatever the variety of local government that we might be working with, and districts, school districts, fire districts, depending on the state we're in, depends on how the different local governments are formulated. Wiley, go ahead.
Sure thing. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm a senior associate at CGR, and I've been at CGR for about a year now. My experience previously to this was all in municipal wastewater consulting. So I have about 7 years of municipal consulting experience with a background in engineering, planning, and policy. So it's nice to meet you all.
A little bit about CGR. We're a private nonprofit consulting firm. We're headquartered in Rochester, New York. We've been around for over a century, 110 years. And we work with local governments. Also, we work with philanthropic organizations and sometimes the private sector, but primarily public and philanthropic, taking a look at how they operate and help them do things better. So all sorts of activities that we do. Our work since 2000, we've actually touched many states across the country. I think if we were to count that up, I think we're at 22 right now. But the reality is 90% of our clients are in the Northeast. New York State, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, really where the heart are of our services, although we have done work in a variety of states. And each one is one thing that's common across our staff is we have a lot of curiosity. So we enjoy coming into a community and learning the nuance of how government is operated and really get to know the local community, the challenges related to narrowing in traffic along a busy road, and making sure that everything, the changes that get made are those that end up being acceptable, and really try and move the community forward. So our work in Connecticut and other New England states, we did a project, it's about 7 years ago with CCOG, Southeastern Connecticut, and we worked with, I think it was 19 towns and villages and cities in southeastern Connecticut, taking a look at how they operated their services and try to identify where there are good opportunities for them to share, and identify efficiency, and really try and improve the service for the community or reduce the costs. And that's sometimes that balance. We might not be able to find a lot of savings, but hopefully we'll be able to improve the service by doing that. We did also some work for the Western Council of Government, where we took a look at how Connecticut operates, where you don't have county governments like exist in many other states, and how the COG could be able to access funding theoretically that is only available to counties. And it was an exercise to try and help that organization identify what the challenges were of not being a county and the money that they weren't able to access. We've done a fire department master plan in the town of Avon, and then in New Haven, we worked with the Elm City Communities, which is their public housing organization, and we did a strategic plan for them in 2015, I believe that was. So moving a little bit north, we wrapped up a project last year in Massachusetts with the town of Hopkinton, where we were helping them evaluate the way that they did community engagement. There'd been a growth in the community, more people coming in, and they wanted to be able to make sure that they were able to connect with all the different diverse factors of their community, to share town programs, to make sure that they were able to get messages out to everybody and to gather that input back in. hosted a project in the cities of Lewiston and Auburn, Maine, where the two cities that are on opposite sides of a river in one of the historic mill towns or mill cities in this case, and they were considering consolidation and what it would mean, what the benefits would be, what the drawbacks would be, and that I could spend a whole hour going on about some of the things we learned there. In a couple of weeks, we'll be finishing up our project with Poultney, Vermont, where they have asked us to help them evaluate whether or not the town and village should merge. And this will ultimately be a public decision, and our job in this is to research the path that they would have to follow and help people become informed about the benefits and the drawbacks of a merger. And then if the committee recommends it and it ends up in the ballot box, help them understand what the impacts would be for the community. Hinesburg, Vermont is just outside of Burlington, and it's another community that was growing, and they wanted to understand what they should do with their public safety services. So police, fire, and EMS, what the growth in the community would do for the demand on their services and how they should expand going forward, and really looking at sharing services with some of their neighboring communities. And then just before COVID, I remember this project rather well because it wrapped up. It was my last site visit for about a year, where we were working in Templeton and Phillipston in Massachusetts, helping them look at their different fire departments, how they operated, their fire departments operated their EMS service, and the possibility of them sharing service and coming together or collaborating with some of their other neighbors. And then we have multiple community indicator sites across mostly Massachusetts. We also have them in New York and in several other states. And what those are sites that we typically work with a community foundation to develop to describe what's going on in the community. So we gather information from census and from local tax data and from different nonprofits about the services they provide, and develop an interactive tool for people to use to evaluate how their community might be growing or changing over time. That's just a snapshot of, well, a pretty good overview of the services that we've provided in Connecticut and the other New England states. And we do those similar projects in the states that we highlighted before. So when it comes to talking about local government, there's really no department, no service that we haven't touched when it comes to being invited into a community or several communities and trying to identify how things are going today, what are potential changes that could be done, and what are the types of changes that a community is really interested in doing. So these are kind of the bulleted list of the capabilities that we have. So we do a lot with collecting and analyzing data. I'm one of the strange people in the world that enjoys taking a look at budgets and financial statements and reading the story that they share with us. From there, we begin to look at identifying the opportunities and then that analysis of potential impacts if there are changes. And that's really getting to know the community, getting to know the department heads, getting to know the leaderships, the appointed leaders and the elected leaders. Very often the answers that end up in our recommendations are coming from the people who are living and working in those departments and in those jobs. They really do know it best. And sometimes we look at your neighbors and identify what's happening in towns that are like yours, which may be your neighbors or may be someplace 30, 40, 50 miles away that's got similar challenges, and identifying the best practices that they have and what they've been able to implement. We take a look at restructuring and whether that may make sense. It doesn't sound like it in the town of Rocky Hill, but it is something that we come across rather frequently, where you might have two really small towns that might want to join forces together. Or as we were talking about with Poultney, where there's a village and a town, and they would legally merge into a single entity. We also sometimes are invited in just to do strategic planning. And this is a process that depends on the depth of the needs and really the outcome that the community is looking for. It might be for a single department, it might be for a whole government. Again, we take a look at a lot of budgets. And when we are invited into a community, we work with you, sometimes we're asked to identify, okay, we're dealing with these position descriptions that we've had for a decade. And when we gave the person that job, we were using an entirely different computer system or entirely different technology than we have today. They've kept their job, but the job description has not kept up. So what do we need to do? How can we adjust to bring things in alignment? And sometimes we're working with the community to do community engagement, whether it's doing surveys or whether it's leading focus groups or trying to help a community after we've been involved in creating a plan, help them educate their residents about the plan and to help them understand what the future holds. And I also want to highlight that we have a lot of experience with public safety. Some communities are very possessive and concerned and making sure that the way they do public safety is the best, and we want to make sure it doesn't change. We have experience working with these different departments. I've been a practicing paramedic for over 30 years. I've worked in several different areas, and I've studied even more, where we do a lot of work with EMS, fire, and law enforcement areas, trying to help them improve. So I'm going to ask Wiley to talk about how we would specifically approach a project here.
Sure thing. Thanks, Paul. So I think one of the most important things to point out here amongst all of what Paul said is we have a really diverse background in projects. We have a really deep profile of what we can do, and we've worked with every single department you can imagine in all of these different places. But when doing these projects, you need to kind of systematically approach it and work with the community to achieve the goals that they have. So we have just a quick overview of what the phases of the project approach would be, which would be a baseline review, an options review, and then the final report. So next slide, please, Paul. When we approach the projects, we're breaking it down into these main phases. The initiation phase is where we would meet with you, go over the scope of work, make sure that we have our communication plan in place, that we're actually answering the questions you have for us to answer. You know how to get a hold of us. We know how to get information from you. So that's the initiation phase. We move into the baseline, where we're really doing the deep dive into what is currently existing on the ground. So scanning to identify the priority areas, identifying, speaking with you all about who the key stakeholders would be who are most important to talk to, whether that be elected officials, select department heads and staff, the different employees, different constituencies, reviewing budgets, actuals, contracts, plans, all of these different pieces that support your operations and the work you do. And we develop an interim report with all of our findings from this baseline review, which is really the deep dive into what exists now. And from there, we move on to the options review, where we look at the different options that we have to potentially improve the services that you're looking to in order to do that. So we identify the immediate actions, and then we work with you to collaboratively look at, I just heard some feedback, my fault. But the options review is identifying the different solutions and laying out a framework for how you could actually move forward. And once we have that finalized with you and the stakeholders, we collaborate all of this into one final report that really highlights the current conditions and how to move forward from here. And this is just a snapshot of how long it typically takes us to do the type of project management and the actual projects we're doing. You see on the left-hand side the potential timeline. We estimate that usually when we work on these, it takes about 5 months to do that work. So, but Paul and I have worked on a number of projects where we've been asked to expedite the process. We've been able to do this faster. So we're flexible and can work with you to make sure that we're delivering what you need on the timeline you need.
Good points. I just want to highlight, we know when we're invited into a community and we start asking questions, it creates work for people. and we want to, when we create a data request, it can be somewhat daunting. And then we want to emphasize, if you have an existing report that gives us 90% of the information that we've asked for, give us that. We can work with that. We've just given you what an ideal set of data would be. But if you have something that's close, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work with that as best we can. And we may need to get some clarifying questions. And then when it comes to the timeline, as Wiley mentioned, we can be flexible. And it can also be important when it comes to having to convince or educate a community about upcoming changes. If we need to spread this out towards the end, where there might be multiple presentations or hearings or discussions, that's something that we would do as well. But this is kind of the middle of the road timeline that we've got up on the screen. And that is our last slide. So
Thank you very much.
Do
you want to move into the
Yeah.
comments now and questions?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you on behalf of the council for putting this presentation together and giving us a little bit more insight into what it is that you would be doing, the service that you're providing. I'm going to open up the floor to any questions or comments. Councilor Prakash,
What's that?
questions or comments? I'm going to go to you first because you're the data guy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so in terms of your timeline, I saw like a 6-month timeline, which seems pretty reasonable, I think, given all that you have to do, like to get the data and talk to people, most importantly. So how do you, can you give us some examples of a typical, like a case study, if you will, like a high level, right? Where you have gone to in a town like this, like a 20,000 odd people town, mid-size, I would say. And let's just say like we have a town hall and we have a board of ed, which operate pretty independently, except for the part that we hold the money part, and once we give them the money part, right, they go and spend that money as they wish, right? So that's the scenario, right? If you have a case study where you can look at efficiencies, ideally build out like a framework where the Board of Ed as well as the town can work more closely. That's, I think, in my view, is like the number one question in my mind. So if you have any case studies to like, at least like on a high level, to walk us through, that would be excellent.
Sure. One project that we did was in the township and borough of Princeton, New Jersey. So they are, I don't have the population figures on top of me, but I think they're about the same size. They have a rather large and educational institution in the heart of town. And they were facing some growing pains after we had worked with them on a consolidation. They then invited us back into the community to do an assessment and help them identify the areas where they could do things better. And we started with meetings with the town manager and the school district superintendent, and that was the first cut of okay, what are the areas that you think you see, and then we identified maybe a half dozen discrete things. So one would be buildings and grounds. So they in particular the athletics fields and the parks. They actually were neighboring to each other, but you had two different groups of people mowing the lawns and painting the lines. So was that an area where they could do things? The town government had an aging facility for their public works, and the school district also had a facility for its public works or highway or their transportation and their maintenance that needed some work as well. So they were looking at how could we come together? Is there a location that would work for both of us? There's not a lot of land for them to be able to develop, to try and move forward. And then information technology was another area that I know that they got into and wanted to consider moving forward. Interestingly, some other areas that theoretically looked good, we discovered were not, because of the way New Jersey law worked. You couldn't share purchasing between a municipality and a school district. They had different rules around purchasing and credentialing for their purchasing officers. So even though they were both, say, buying salt to put on their parking lots or buying computers, or paper, they couldn't do it on a joint contract because of New Jersey laws. So that's kind of how that project progressed over a period of time.
Thank you, Paul. So, by the way, my name is Pankaj. I didn't introduce myself because we are on Zoom. It's kind of odd. But thank you. I should have said that in the beginning. But the other question I have for you is, can you walk us through typical challenges in a project like this, where you're coming in? I picked up the Board of Ed and the town side, and you walked us through that. But in general, right, theoretically, you are looking at both sides independently and then interconnectedly, right? What are the biggest challenges you have come across in the work you have done over several years?
One question that we often ask at the beginning of a project is, what is it that you do not want to have changed? What things are kind of off limits? And it's interesting to get the answers for that. Sometimes it's a challenge with collective bargaining. And, we've done work with police departments and fire departments where it's written in their collective bargaining agreement that our minimum staffing number is X, and that cannot change. Or that we have to run the dispatching, and that it cannot become a shared service. And that's written right into a contract, and a municipality might be wary of opening up an agreement like that to change something. Another is, if you're looking strictly at saving costs, there's a certain amount that you can do with technology, with buildings, with finding efficiencies there. But sooner or later, it's going to come down to people. And maybe there's a department that has more staff than it needs today because of changes in technology or changes in public service demands. And when we say that, this department has 3 staff and it really only needs 2, that becomes hard to come out and say, okay, you're going to save $125,000 if this person's position goes away. But this person, you hired this person, you gave them a raise not that long ago, but maybe you don't need them anymore. So that can become a challenge when it goes from on the paper to having to make pulling those things into play. And also, I think the expectations. You're not going through and doing a study like this is not something that's going to move the needle dramatically in doing savings. You will move the needle. You will get some savings. You might be able to prevent an increase in property tax for a year or something like that, but you're not going to see dramatic wholesale savings without a dramatic wholesale change in how you govern.
Okay. Thank you. I was just going to comment on your last point, which is sometimes you might be in a situation where you do see you look at personnel, but I'm sure you have worked with towns and town managers where you have reallocated personnel rather than getting rid of a position. So I'm sure you're open to all scenarios there, and you have gone through all the scenarios like that. yeah, it is an extreme case probably. And when it comes to cost savings, probably not every time you're saving money, but I'm sure like what you cannot make in like cost savings probably, there's always a productivity play, right? Somewhere, an efficiency play, purely in terms of like how you're using your personnel, in terms of just using them more optimally, I guess. So that's my thought, but I will let others ask the questions.
Anyone? I'm gonna.
No, I didn't. I did, but I don't anymore.
You're done. Okay. Anyone here?
That was good.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jeff Levine. Thanks for coming, Paul and Wiley. Do you find there's a bit of a commonality when you start these projects? There's kind of like a low-hanging fruit or one or two things that you see most towns can hit. That's kind of like your go-to initially. Hey, pretty much every town could do 1, 2, or 3 items, 1, 2, or 3 that you kind of see pretty consistently. Or is it everything's just so unique that you can't?
There are certain areas that we will often look, but it's hard for me to tell you item 1, 2, or 3 are going to be where you're going to save the money. When we're doing this work, we do look for that low-hanging fruit for a couple of reasons. I think first among them is we want you to get a win. We want you to have a success in the be able to point back to the constituents and say, oh, you spent money on bringing in a consultant. What did they do for you? And we want to be able to point to a couple of things that you're able to implement sooner rather than later. Some of the bigger changes take a little bit. If we talk about, this is something you should do to adjust your capital plan, and you might not see that savings for 3 or 4 years. But that is something that in the long run will have more of an impact.
Okay. And is kind of the combination of the town and Board of Ed, is that kind of a common theme you try to work on most of these towns? Because they're generally, for legal reasons and so forth, there has to be a separation to an extent. But if there's ways to work together, that seems to be a first place to look type of thing.
We always look at governments that are or departments in a government that might be providing similar services, and how can we work on that overlap? So that is, yes, every state, every locality has slightly different rules. So that's one of the first things that we need to do is tune up on what our operating environment is going to be. But in your case, we absolutely would have that conversation very early on in the engagement to find out what is it that you're looking at doing, what is at play, and what are the barriers? Why haven't you done this before? Is it because the two guys who used to be responsible for plowing the parking lots didn't get along, so that's why we never shared the service before. But now we have new people in those roles, and maybe we can cross that bridge.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. Do you differentiate your services? In other words, do you go into every situation where your scope is first looking for operational efficiencies, second look for like intra-town, like shared services, Board of Ed and the town sharing services, thirdly, the Board of Ed going outside of their town, or the town going outside of the town with like similar towns where we can share services, or do you do it specific to what we ask for?
We work with you on a scope of work. Very often when we're coming into a situation like this, we're actually responding to an RFP that has been put out where a community says, these are the 5 things we want to have done. And then we build a proposal that says, this is how we'll help you do those 5 things. So in this case, they're having the conversation, what is your highest priority? Whether it's tonight in a public forum, an hour and a half into a meeting might not be the right time to do it. But we would definitely work with a committee or a working group and say, you know, let's talk about what your scope is. What's your timeline? What are the areas that you think? Because you know your community well or already. So we want to leverage your knowledge and then bring in our expertise and we'll get the two together to help you identify the right things to change and the things to leave alone.
Great, I'm good.
My name's Fran Whalen. When you do your final report, do you assist towns to implement it? Or do you just give it to the town and here you go?
Depends on the situation, but yes, we can assist the town in the implementation. Sometimes the things that are you know, implementing are not in our forte. So, you know, maybe we're suggesting you would work better together if you shared a space. We're not architects, so we're not going to design what a shared workspace would look like.
Do you recommend like having a subcommittee to work with you and then report back to the main body? Or have you done that in the past?
Absolutely. I think that's a key to a successful project is rather than working with a whole town council, we work with a subset. And one, it's often better to have working documents and working discussions that are not necessarily in a public meeting like this, and to be able to talk and express ideas that might end up being unpopular. And we want to discover that they're unpopular before they're brought out in light or unworkable, because there's something that we thought would work and somebody has got the knowledge that says, hey, that's just not going to fly. So yes, we would want to work with a small group. You know, in this situation, maybe a member or two of town council, a town manager, a member or two of the school board, superintendent or the business superintendent, something like that would be a relatively small group. We wouldn't want it to get more than 5 or 6 people.
Great. One more question. Obviously, we have a lot of union employees, so you're reviewing contracts. Do you speak with the unions at all through this?
So that would be when we talk about staff, making sure that we are engaging with the leadership of the collective bargaining organizations is important. They are our partner, and talking about potentials to change. They're ones. First of all, they can often be the ones who say, "Hey, this is something. This is a work practice that we do that really doesn't make sense anymore." And our unit would be happy to give it up. So they're valuable partners in this project.
Great. I just want to thank you both for sharing your time with us and educating us on this process. Thank you.
Happy to.
Hi, Paul. My name's Alan Greenspan. Just kind of trying to understand was that as we're building out the scope for the project, we're not at a point where we've actually narrowed down, I don't believe, exactly what we want. In your experience, are we best off approaching this as a broader scope project or trying to narrow it down to specific targets?
So if there's real uncertainty as to the areas of most impact, I would break it into a phased project. So I would say, okay, we want to go in phase 1 where we want to work with us and come in and help us take a high-level look at everyone. Every department, looking at your budgets, looking at your staffing plans, talking to those who have that broad perspective. So the town manager, the superintendent, a business manager on both sides. They're the ones who know where the areas are likely to be. And we can ask some probing questions that might be able to bring out some other areas. But from that, say, we'll be able to then get into a more narrowed phase where we identify, hey, these are the 5 or 6 areas in the town and Board of Ed that really are going to be impactful for you. So we don't need to talk about this area because there's nothing we can move there. But these other areas we can touch.
Thank you.
So the kind of that phase one is that immediate overview, and then you get into a more detailed detailed examination.
Oh, appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I just have more of a comment. I think, and maybe I have a question. I'm still trying to frame it, I guess. But I want to just piggyback on something that Councilor Prakash said with respect to efficiencies, right? So I don't think that this is, well, it's not that I don't think it, I know it. I know that this is not a matter of looking for reduction in town staff, right? But it's rather, we are looking at this in terms of how can we support existing staff. And so I just want to make that very clear because it makes me uncomfortable when we start talking about low-hanging fruit and, it's easy to eliminate a position. We know that. We go through the budget process every year and it's painful, right, for all municipalities. So that's not really our target, and I want to make that clear to the public and certainly to all of town staff, because we value everybody. That's a part of this community. In the rapid changing world of IT, right, and technology, one of the ways we had talked when we had the first presentation was about are there ways that we can bring in new tools or resources, right, that will help create efficiencies amongst various departments or perhaps between the Board of Education and the town. And so I think this is more of a question for the council, just in terms of the timeline that we saw that, January to April. That April timeframe is really when Ray is putting his budget together. So I don't want to rush it if this is something that we decide to do. I wouldn't want to rush it and shorten this project, because if you're going to be asking for information from town staff, they're already super busy, right? And we don't want to inundate them. But in terms of if we want to then put money into new tools or new resources, are we going to have an opportunity to do that this coming fiscal year? Which then brings me, I guess this is where my question is going. If this is done in phases, do we look at, could you make suggestions about, what are the easiest places or what are typically the departments where you can see mergers, and by way of example, technology, or between Board of Ed and the town, and we work in those small phases so that we can at least achieve something productive in the upcoming budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was just going to say, just adding to that, I think I was thinking about the same thing. Is there, because when you said phase one, phase two, can your phase one inform the budget process as it stands today, and then you go into the phase two as like a double click on that phase one? Just theoretically, I'm just talking theoretically now.
No, it's so the example timeline we gave was an example. Well, again, we don't know how many departments that you want us to drill down into. Maybe we identify as we're doing that high-level scan that, hey, these two departments are the ones that we really need to look at, and we think we would have the most impact with in this first budget cycle. And these other three departments we want to look at, but let's take our time with them. Maybe, maybe we're talking about building. We need to get an estimate as to how much it would cost to build something. You can't do that overnight. I can get you a ballpark, but you need more than that before you're going to adjust a budget. So yes, we can stage. We can, again, that phase one could be, we want to look at and have you help identify those things that would have an impact for our next fiscal year. Is what your first look should be. So yes, again, we can work with you on the scope.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate both of you spending your evening with us. And next steps, Ray, we'll contemplate. How do you want to move forward? Continue contemplating?
Yeah, we'll go through the town manager, I guess, right? I think the town manager can stay in touch, and then we'll figure out the next steps on our side, and then connect with Paul and Wiley.
Is that good with you? Okay, all right.
I don't think we do it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Paul. Thank
Welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Guys.
All right, I think we're going to go backwards now. Back to subcommittee reports and public safety.
All right.
We have a
let's put-
presentation.
Yeah, I do have a presentation, a quick one. Public safety met this afternoon at 5:30. Do we have the presentation up yet? Okay.
Oh, there it is.
All right, excellent. So on the fire side, 73 incidents with 5 I-91 responses. I think Alan mentioned something about the fund, right? The 98,000, I think it has grown to. But for the year, it's at 26K. And one thing to note here is that from a number standpoint, I think if you look at this slide, does not have the time series basically, but we look at the data of prior years going all the way back to like 21, 22. The numbers seem pretty consistent year over year. Nothing like big, like from a jump perspective. I-91 numbers remain pretty steady over the last 3 years. I come to like 90 incidents. It's still in September, so. But one thing, the last thing I want to point out here is the rescue tool the chief mentioned that it was like the last one, the hydraulic one was retired and it was replaced by e-tool. So it's like all battery operated e-tools now on that side. That was one of the highlights. And then moving on to the volunteer ambulance on the Rocky Hill side of things, again, numbers pretty consistent. The big takeaway here is that the Rocky Hill Volunteer Ambulance is busy recruiting, has been busy recruiting for a little bit, and they're gonna have their first recruiting class like of this year, I think. I should say they're in the final weeks, and students are preparing for the final exams. So pretty exciting stuff there. Moving on to Aetna, the next slide. Aetna numbers, again, this ratio between Aetna and Rocky Hill Volunteer Ambulance, pretty consistent. If you go back and start looking at last 3 years, 4 years of numbers, the ratios look pretty similar, right? Very close to each other. So nothing big here again in terms of any variability. I would say that in terms of Aetna and Rocky Hill Ambulance working together seem to be a little more gelling, I guess, at least in it comes to data sharing. They're sharing their data, they're sharing their practices, best practices. So I think we are on a good path here, generally speaking. Aetna celebrated their 80th birthday, the ambulance side of things, and they have 4 paramedics that are preparing to begin their authorization. So that's pretty much the ambulance side. And then lastly, on the PD side, there is one big takeaway, which is the stolen vehicle arrest, which happened in August, on August 13th, and it was on because of the proactive patrol. There have been more proactive patrols around town. If you're there like I am, sometimes getting late from a meeting here or teaching a class there, I see a lot of activity, patrol cars out there at 10 o'clock. Where I live, I'm sure you are seeing that. So overall, I think in terms of proactive patrolling and omnipresence, I think we are doing a better job in general. There are more traffic stops if you look at the data over the last 3-4 years, and I think a lot of them are stops which are creating these kind of situations where we are able to get ahead of some of the things, right, in our community. So I think I think that's like the general takeaway here. One last thing I'll say, there was some conversation this afternoon about speeding and ways to tackle speeding. And one of the questions that came up, actually it was asked by me, was about traffic cameras. And this has been brought up by several residents between me and Councilor Whelan when we are out there. And one of the things that has been brought up is, hey, we do better in terms of traffic stops. We're doing more proactive policing, but I see people zooming through on New Britain Avenue at 70 miles per hour. So what can we do about that? And one of the things that has come up in these conversations is cameras. And I asked that question to Chief Klett, and again, to make sure that we at least ask the question. Now, I want to make sure, in the spirit of, I did this in public safety as well, it's an initial question. We are not deploying cameras, and we are not trying to generate revenue, right? Those are another two. There are two things that come to mind when we start talking about this. So where we are today, Chief Klett has an opinion about this, but what he wants to do is to do a feasibility study. And he wants to work with the town manager, with Ray here, and they want to start talking about a feasibility study. Now, wherever that feasibility study takes us will be our next step. We'll decide our next step, right? So again, people watching out there, we are not putting traffic cameras out there. We are just asking the question so that we can be well informed, like other communities are, about the situation. It's not for generating revenue, and it's not to invade people's privacy. If there is a public safety imperative and we can have safer roads, anything that will do that, we should consider that. That's my rational opinion on this. So a starting point is a feasibility study, and we'll go from there. So that's the report.
Liaison to the state rep and state senator.
Did not receive a report from either one. Thank you.
School liaison.
I don't have a report tonight. Thank you.
Capital Improvements Committee.
We meet quarterly. Our next meeting, and looking at the calendar, if it's right, it's going to need to be moved because it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving at 5 p.m., and I'm sure no one will be here. So we'll have to look at that date.
On Alan, you can do it.
I'm not sure the Board of Ed will be here either, but that's okay.
I don't think so.
But that is our next scheduled meeting,
Right.
if I
We'll
read the
change it.
calendar correctly. And you want me to do Economic Development Subcommittee? That committee only meets when we have abatements before us. We currently don't have any, so there has not been a meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have A and C.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to new business. A, update Commission on Inclusion and Innovation Commission.
I stayed awake. Tom Kosker, 52 Tall Pines Lane, Chair of the Commission on Inclusion. And even though it took an hour and 44 minutes, it felt like it came quick at the last second because I wasn't ready for Funkish to stop talking. No, all good, Funkish. Thank you, Commission, Town Council members, staff. Raymond, is that the appropriate?
Yes.
Mr. Carpentina. So just a quick update, it won't take long, but on the work of the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation. Again, thanks for coming. I know I come every quarter or so to give you an update on our work. So first thing is we have 2 new commissioners, which you guys all appointed, so I just want to formally recognize them as well tonight. But Dea Shadowfax was here earlier. She had to leave. And Shilpa Gohil had some previous obligations as well. But there are 2 new commissioners. So we are a full slate of 7 commissioners. We do have 2 sort of openings for reserve commissioners. So if people are still interested in joining, we do have kind of spots that you can participate and join as commissioners.
You mean alternates?
Alternates, that's a word.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Murata. Alternates. So you can join as an alternate. Because we've had folks in there in the past, we were up to 7 full and 2 alternates in the past, and it really helps to have those people that are interested in joining. So that's that. We had a very busy June, which I kind of highlighted last time we met. We had a lot of events going on then, so I won't readdress those, but we had a quiet July and August because summertime, but we're kicking up again now that September's hitting. I also want to thank Brianna for coming tonight and sharing her story. She did come to the Commission on Inclusion originally and shared her story with us, so I was very happy to see her here tonight and support her. And obviously some conversations that we need to have as a community and individually and collectively. I think it's important to hear that voice and that message. So thank you, Brianna, for coming. Again, thank you, Mayor Murata, inviting her to the Unity event. She's aware of that as well, so hopefully she can make it. Because I think that really highlights, like what Brianna shared tonight, really highlights the importance of a thing like our Unity event, which is to get out there and talk to one another. When we started that event, it's happening this Saturday, September 20th, from 9 to 11. We used to call it our Walk a Mile in My Shoes event, and we've changed the name because we heard from some community members who didn't want to walk, and they thought it was a walking event, like a 5K sort of thing. So they're like, I don't want to walk. Why am I going to this event? So we sort of renamed it. It's the Community Unity event. So I'll just highlight a couple things from the Unity event, and I've shared this with you all. Hopefully you've seen this. I've shared it with Mr. Carpentino and Mayor Murata, et cetera, but I'll just read this out loud real quick right now. So the Rocky Hill Commission on Inclusion is hosting the 2025 Rocky Hill for All Community Unity event on Saturday, September 20th at Elm Ridge Park at the Pavilion and the Challenger Baseball Field. Starting at 9 a.m., join us for breakfast, snacks, and coffee. Music, art, and activities designed for participants of all ages to get to know one another, meet our community, come as neighbors, and leave as friends. All are welcome, adults, families, kids, friends, and neighbors. If you previously participated in Walk a Mile in My Shoes event, you'll love this expanded event even more. So a few quick details. So we do have some drummers coming. Shiv Garjana is a group that's going to present, I know, perform. They've done so at our different events and parades and stuff in the past, so they're going to be there. Shine Your Light, which is an organization we partnered with in the town on different things. They do a lot of artwork and stuff. They're going to be working with whoever's there on creating a banner, a Rocky Hill for All banner, kind of a community work together thing. We're also going to have yard signs that are like Rocky Hill for All yard signs that people could come and decorate themselves and bring them home and put in their yards. Kind of as one of our messages, right? One of our main messages is Rocky Hill for All. So, and there's some other things that'll be going on in addition to sharing and talking with your, whoever shows up. So we hope to grow the event. So if you're listening now or hear it, or if you all, we invite all of you to come that are here tonight. We hope you can all make it, and spread the word. Whether you're able to come or not, please spread the word. So that's, again, this Saturday from 9 to 11 at Elm Ridge Park. The last thing I want to share is the Commission on Inclusion is also going to be collaborating on, but sort of leading, coordinating our Diwali event this year. So the Diwali event is set for October 25th. It's set for 10:30 to 12:30. We're just finalizing. There's a planning committee that's been working together on this. I'm one of a number of people doing that. I'm just doing the coordination of the event as the Commissioner on Inclusion. But 10:30 to 12:30 on the 25th, and that'll be here in the Community Center downstairs. More details to come. The flyer is just being finalized right now. Registration will be required because we have a max of, I think, 250 people because of the space, because we're not outside of the park, so we need to kind of do a registration just to kind of control the numbers. But that's a great event. That'll be food, that'll be entertainment. If you haven't participated in that in the past, it's a wonderful event. for folks who celebrate Diwali and folks who do not celebrate Diwali. So we like all community members to come, and if they don't celebrate Diwali, you can learn a little bit about it, and it's really a great event. And
Or you can come for food.
Or you can come for food, and the food is wonderful. Yes, the food
Always
is
good.
wonderful. The entertainment, like it's a good time. I've gone the last few years that we've done it. I think this might be the 4th year in a row or something that we've done it. So anyway, I think that is all. I will be here for questions if you need to. That was only 5 minutes. Look at that.
I'm just so excited by the work that you guys are doing. And every year it seems like you're adding more and more to your agenda and getting more and more members of the community coming out to participate. And that is so positive, and that really is sort of the premise of why we started this commission in the first instance. And you have really driven that innovation component. And we were so intentional in adding that term innovation, right, so that we could set ourselves apart. And you have clearly done that with your commissioners and everyone who helps you. So thank you. I love the come as your neighbors, leave as friends. I'm going to steal that for my social media post. And I love this idea of creating banners and yard signs. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. It's a little bit bigger this year and a little more involved and a little more, working together and active at the event. So.
I just wanted to apologize to keep you waiting.
Thank you.
I try my hardest, as you know.
I know you do. I talk a lot too, Pankaj. You know that, so.
In public interest, I have to be clear
understand.
about certain things. But more on the topic, I think I'll piggyback on what the mayor said. I think it's a wonderful idea what you're doing on the yard signs. Yeah. I think we need some of that. Not just symbolically, right? I think people need to get into that spirit a little bit more, and I think it's the appropriate time to do that. I mean, all time is appropriate, but we seriously need some good vibes in the times we are living in. So I think that's very helpful. I think the Innovation Commission is really like it's supposed to be a driving force, but the community has to support and they have to support that effort that you're trying to drive. If there is no community support, you're just a commission with a name, right? So I think all the effort you put in, like you try to bring in people, I think that's wonderful. Truly applaud that. And I to be clear with everyone, you can come for just for the food, even if you don't celebrate Diwali. And I think it's really good. I think you should come for the food.
Yes.
I'm just trying to put more incentives out there.
I agree. And our
now
event.
on the record. I'm on the record to call for.
In our Unity event on Saturday, we have some food from Dream Cafe actually in Rocky Hill. So our part of the Rocky Hill public school system is going to be there with some of their goodies and food. So and it's all free, so you don't have to pay for it. So we got that covered. So thank you. If everyone comes that's in this room and brings a handful of people, then we'll already be at like 50 people. So come please if you're listening. See you there.
Thank you, Mr. Kosker.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Topliff, I'm going to apologize in advance, but can we take a 5-minute recess? Really, just 5. Just 5.
Yeah, make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
What are you doing here?
All right, thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to new business. B, discussion possible action, Public Act 25-168, Section 240, Veterans Property Tax Exemption.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
What brought me here today, I requested through the town manager and finance director Mona. Last year, the legislature passed legislation to exempt the dwelling, the primary dwelling of the veterans that were permanently and totally disabled, regardless of what their percentage of disability was. This past March, Public Act 25-2 rescinded the exemption for those that were not 100% disabled, meaning that you now, under the current law, you have to be 100% disabled and permanent and total to receive the dwelling exemption on your property. Public Act 25-168 created several local options, one of which I'm here requesting that be enacted tonight, and that restores the exemption for those that are not 100% disabled by the Veterans Administration, but are not, but are paid at the 100% rate and are considered TDIU, meaning that they're totally disabled and not able to work. I personally believe the legislation that was enacted by the legislature, this is the group they were targeting, and when they wrote the law, they made an error, and this was their way of fixing it. And being a fiscal issue, they didn't want to mandate it again to the municipality, so they left it up to an option. And in Rocky Hill, we have 12 veterans that fall into this category. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay, so TDIU.
Yep.
Totally disabled and unemployable. What's the I?
Individual.
Individual, and
yeah.
but unemployable.
Yeah. It's
Right.
It's just a fancy government way of saying they're unemployable.
And you're saying that rather than at 100%, we would go back to what it originally was. Well, the newer one was 75%.
The lowest percentage we have is somebody that is TDIU is 60%, and that's the lowest you can be by the VA. But they are compensated at the 100% rate because they're considered unemployable.
And you're considering that 60%?
The VA allows it to be someone as low as 60% disabled.
So I'll rephrase it. The 12 Rocky Hill residents range between that
60 and 90%.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we have one person at the 60%.
Thank you.
So you're basically just continuing what the tax exemption has been?
Well, last year, they passed the law, and on the 2025 grand list, they were exempt. So I had to exempt them. Public Act 25-2 that was passed in March, their emergency legislation that they passed, took it away from these 12 individuals. So I had to notify them that.
You're continuing.
Yes. Okay. So I had to notify them saying, sorry, you're no longer exempt. And then I'm just saying.
Unless we pass a local exemption.
If you pass this local option, it will, for the 2025 grand list, it will exempt these 12 individuals.
Yeah, and it will just keep the status quo.
Yes.
Okay.
So in terms of the opt-in things that the state said we can now opt into, one of them pertains to the land up to 2 acres.
There's one local option that would exempt up to 2 acres of a veteran's property. You know, currently it's only the primary dwelling, so if they have the land and any outbuildings are not exempt. That local option would exempt up to the first 2 acres of land.
Is that
but
the way
that
it
would
was?
exempt the first 2 acres of all our permanent and totally disabled veterans And it would be a significant exemption.
How many are there? As roughly.
40-something.
Okay.
Because it's not only those that are 100%, it would include these 12 as well.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Have other towns acted on this as well, surrounding towns?
Most of the discussion so far is, among assessors, is which towns are considering doing it. I'm going to say that Rocky Hill is probably on the forward edge of the discussion. Because this actual language was placed in the implementer bill, the 673-page bill. This is actually section 240 of that 673-page bill. That really not many people knew was coming. And because I teach veteran exemptions to my fellow assessors, I've caught it and I brought it to Ray and Mona, a while ago, and it was decided that this would be the meeting that we brought it up on. But there's a lot of communities out there that are discussing it.
So in essence, this was missed by our legislature.
I think they intentionally put it in the law this way because they didn't want to force it upon the municipalities, because they already put in the legislation last year. And then I came and gave you an update on the legislation and said this is what that legislation caused, the impact to the town it was. These 12 individuals were included in that impact. And then they took them out in March. So
what is the dollar amount that we're talking about?
assessment or,
Assessment.
I have that. Give me a moment. At least I hope I have it. I did the analysis.
I'm sure you did.
So that's the number I didn't memorize, okay? I memorized the dollar amount, but not the assessment amount. That's about $1 million in assessment. It's $1,084 and $1,084,540.
Okay.
Tax dollars, it's about $32,796.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
So, Stuart, just to understand the ask or the wording for the ask, is that we would be accepting the public option of Public Act 25-168, Section 240? Is that?
Or would you have to craft a
No,
resolution?
it's
Because what's in our packet
Section
didn't
E,
give
I believe. It's the local option E. But it's only the one option, which would be the one for the TDIU. I don't believe, yes, I don't believe you want to do the other three
Right.
local options. You only want to do the TDIU.
Well, would town staff have to craft a resolution for us to pass this, or can we?
Not in this case, it's just a vote of the legislative body, similar to the vote that you took on the motor vehicle bill 25-2 back in March when I saw you in April.
I think
It's the same process for this legislation.
I think this is very critical, though, we get the language proper. I don't want to be voting on something that isn't proper.
Well, I think
Do
that
we
we
have
can,
the
I think
language?
we can synthesize it. I think that we're going to opt in to, we're going to opt into the exemption on unemployability, specifically TDIU.
Yeah, I think if you voted, that would be,
That would work.
yeah. Because each one of the local options, you could either vote for all four of them together or you one at a time. And if you only vote this one,
Any other discussion?
So nobody can, well, let's make the motion. I'll make a comment.
Do you want to make a motion?
No, I didn't remember what was said.
That's what I was trying to get to. What's
Yeah,
the correct
exactly,
wording to
exactly,
say?
right.
I mean, Bill's not.
I'll
here,
motion
he's our
to
wordsmith.
approve the local option for those that are, hold on, totally disabled and individually unemployability as rated by the Veterans Administration of the United States of
What
America.
he said. I move what he said.
Because you don't want to say Veterans Administration, because that's what we call the Connecticut Veterans Affairs is. They
So you
called
want-
it the same name as the state.
You want to
of the
opt, you want to
feds.
opt in, the wording is opt in.
Opt in.
Town of Rocky Hill opts into Public Act 25-168-240, unemployable, TDIU, unemployability.
I think you would add it, but if you're going to say that with respect, with somehow with respect to only that one exemption.
Yeah.
Because that covers a litany of exemptions.
So we don't want 1, 2, and 3.
I'm starting to think that we actually need someone to draft this out. Because that's
I
what-
agree.
You know, there's 4
It's
parts
critical.
here, and while we want to have this discussion, I'm honestly confused by the right wording.
Hey, let me take a
Should-
look.
should
Hang
we
on for a minute.
table then? Should we table and have lawyers look at it and draft it and then vote on it next meeting?
I don't think that we have to, but I mean, if that's what the majority wants to do, we can certainly do that.
I don't know.
I just
That's-
need, I just need the correct.
My only question that I was going to ask was, does it have to be specific to that 60%?
No.
Can somebody else come in and say,
don't know
well,
if the
you know, I'm
timing will.
No, because if it's, the TDIU is a very specific rating by the Veterans Administration. And for the most, the lowest you can be is 60% to be considered totally and permanently disabled and individually unemployable. So the issue right now is that the law states that you have to be 100% disabled and permanent and total, regardless of whether you're being repaid at 100%, which these individuals are. So because they have a condition that the VA won't rate higher than whatever the percentage they have, but they're paying them at 100%. And that's, you know, they're probably the ones that need it more than the others.
Stuart, will this, how does this impact the grand list right
It-
now?
it's-
No, I mean, if.
Time sensitivity,
yeah,
since
time-wise.
October's around the corner.
As long as it's passed, before I sign the grand list on January 31st or thereabout, retroactive to October 1st, you'd be okay.
All right.
Right.
So we could table it and presumably pass
You
it
know,
next
we'll,
time.
we'll get a
All right,
a motion for you.
Yep, okay. If we have that time frame, then that's fine. Okay. That's good with you? Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the timing, fine.
Yeah, as long as I have it prior to I'm signing the grand list. I mean, if you do it afterwards, it'll just be an adjustment
No,
to
we're
the grand
looking
list.
No, let's do it
Next
before
meeting.
then,
We'll
yeah.
do it next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
great.
principally, we are all aligned, so I think it should be good.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
Stuart.
information.
No, thank you, because this helps me answer the questions to these 12 individuals. They've asked many questions on not only what the legislature did, or well, what they did, but what I thought the 9 of you were going to do. And until now, I couldn't answer what the 9 of you were going to do. So thank you.
All right, have a great night. Moving on to C, discussion possible action. Oh,
I thought Stu.
Yeah, we're gonna table.
We'll motion the table, item C.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Second.
Tabling it.
Any
table it.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to D, update complete streets project.
I could not get that one.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise. We got moved up. Um, So we were asked to be here this evening by the town manager, to give you a little update regarding the complete streets. So we have Kim Ritchie, Jason Scott, and myself. So Kim's going to kick us off about complete streets, what they are. Jason's going to talk about some of the benefits, and I'll bring you up to date with some of the projects proposed, current, and completed.
We came up with a very quick presentation. So the council, if you remember, you adopted a complete streets policy back in June of '23. Since then, we've created a new plan of conservation and development. I should say in-house. I do want to get that on the record. Following the complete streets policy was following the state and the regional guidelines. And what are complete streets? It's a comprehensive, equitable, integrated transportation network with infrastructure and design that allows for safe, convenient travel. Safe, convenient travel across streets, trails, and transit. So we're talking all modes of transportation for all individuals, all users, pedestrians, bicyclists, persons of all abilities, motorists, emergency responders, users of operators of public transportation, seniors, youth, family, everyone. So it's for all of us. What are the benefits of complete streets? Jason?
Complete Streets is an important component of transportation design, as well as economic and community development. We like to focus on enhancing mobility, improving safety, expanding transportation access and transportation choice, and the related contributions towards building a healthy community. It also creates walkable communities, which can attract and retain businesses, as well as residents. It also can reduce vehicle miles traveled by promoting and ultimately resulting in increasing transportation by other methods, such as walking, biking, and taking public transportation. And those results can help address pollution, climate change, traffic congestion, and the social isolation that we've experienced due to things like the pandemic and a culture of physical inactivity. And to close out our presentation tonight, I'd like to bring Steve Sobolak back up here to talk about some of the things that we've been working on over the last few years and some things that we'd like to look forward to going ahead in the future. Steve?
So as you've heard, this is kind of wide-ranging. It's not just a planning tool. It's just not an engineering tool. It's going to involve economic development folks. So we're going to be putting together a committee: engineering, planning, highways, the PD, the fire department, emergency response type people. It affects all of them, and economic development, because it could affect some economic development opportunities. Some of the items we've already completed with this process is the bike racks you see around Town Hall. We have some share the road signs we've put up in a few locations. During our mill and paving project, this goes before this policy even started, we've been upgrading all our handicap or ADA compliant ramps over the past 10 years. And then various sidewalks extensions we've done throughout the last couple years. They've been minimal, but we've done some. Projects in design or construction. Washington Street sidewalks are slated to start, last week, but due to circumstances beyond our control, we're waiting for that contractor to finish up a project in a neighboring town. Then he's coming here. Century Hills Phase 1 sidewalks, that's been awarded, and we need to get that contract signed, and that should be starting hopefully by October. Century Hills Phase 2 is in design. We're waiting approval from the state. Glastonbury Avenue sidewalk, same thing, design, awaiting approval from the state. Hayes Road has been designed, and we'll be bidding that next spring. Elm Street, finally, that's in DOT review. We think that we're going to have that finally approved, and we'll be able to bid that in the spring. And then it's not all just us; it's the state. The DOT, as I think I mentioned before, has a project at Exit 24 to eliminate the slip ramps and put sidewalks on both sides. So that's been a goal of the towns for the 25 years I've been here, and we finally had the cooperation between us and the state, been bugging them, and they finally gone ahead, and that project's moving forward. So looks like possibly completion of the design next year and out to bid in '27, and they're saying it's probably a 2-year project. So hopefully by 2030, it'll be complete. Some projects we have in our sites proposed and/or been pitched, and for one reason or another, it didn't happen. Cheryl's in a bikeway. We identified a bikeway through town in Cheryl's, but it was rejected by the PIC committee. Modified bus routes. We've been reaching out to the Connecticut Transit regarding public transportation of some of our businesses, especially down along Old Forge Road and Dividend Road, and we're trying to get a response from them about modifying their routes, because I know, I think the manager and the mayor were just meeting one of the business owners, and he was telling how their employees get dropped off, I believe, at the corner of Old Forge and 99, and the employees got to walk a mile down the way to get to the place of employment. And I know that they're not unique. So there's been that call. The DOT has actually reached out to us regarding ride sharing, which I guess would be like van pools and stuff, Jason? Yeah. Yeah. So they want to sit down and talk about, how we can promote that. And then we also want to create a checklist for complete streets and what we're looking for. So, and with that, I guess if there's any questions.
Just one question. The ride share component, does that tie into the program we're working on with the state for developing a town center where we didn't have bus stops? I can't think of the name of the program.
Municipal Development
Yeah.
Authority?
There's two of those things we're working on, right?
It is called the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority.
Okay. Does that tie that in at all? Now, we don't have the bus stops that we needed for some of their programming, but if we're doing ride shares out of the center, does that?
This was just like an out of the blue thing. They just reached out recently, so I don't think it's tying into that.
Okay.
This is just like a one-off that very recent. They said we'd like to sit down and meet with you about ride shares.
Okay. So. Just trying to tie the two together.
Yeah, that'd be nice. There is a bus stop out there right under the Charter Oak descendant,
Yeah.
but.
And one right on the Silestine, too.
Yeah.
We put
Yes,
that new
but
bus-
there's two on the Silestine, but
Right.
ironically, the bus doesn't go down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one over across from the police department, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
The bus does go that way.
Yeah.
So it serves Old Main Street, but doesn't serve 99. So hence why we're trying to get them in and try and, modify their routes.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to E, discussion possible action registrar salary.
Just FYI, I have to recuse.
Yes.
I'm just going to sit here, but I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
So this did come up today during the Finance Committee meeting. Since it was first presented at Finance today and neither caucus had a chance to review it, we took it off the consent agenda and moved it to new business so we could at least have a discussion. Bill was not at the meeting, so wanted everybody to at least be familiar with what this was.
Okay. All right. And, so what this resolution is setting the salary for the 2 registrars and the deputy registrars. This ordinarily goes to finance. We have not had this come to finance by resolution since January of 23 actually. So obviously they are due, so we are looking at 2-year change in this. Presently, they have been working as a salary of $28,600. We're looking at the recommendation, and I was trying to pull it in front of me, but I don't, for $36,000. That's an increase that's ordinarily with these that are not negotiated in our budget. We don't put any salaries in. The line item is covered through contingency. However, in this budget, because we were anticipating something had to happen because this hadn't been settled for a couple years and brought to us, the increase is a bit higher than the 3%, but we also wanted to keep into consideration the fact that the work of the registrars has changed over time. We've got early voting. There's many more hours that are entailed. So we had a resolution to have them at $36,000. The deputy registrars is an hourly rate, and that is a 3% increase, which is kind of consistent with what we've done with other bargaining unit contracts. We sat with the two registrars. They came in with recommendations. Town manager and I looked at comparisons to other towns, and this seems to be in line. There are other towns that like to do stipends, whether you're doing primaries and so forth, and this seemed to be for us, the best approach to have it just one salary amount for the individuals, which we've been doing customarily for many, many years. So it's our recommendation to have for July 125, this would go retroactive, so we have to do some pay adjustments for them because we're in September. So that would be $36,000 for the registrar, $21.25 per hour. It's a 3% increase for the deputy registrar. And then January 26, because we feel if we do the 36 now, catching up for the missed years, 37 for the January of 26, and $22 per hour for the deputy.
I just have a question. When you say missed years, was that by choice or? I mean,
The change in law is kind of what happened to us. 'Cause there was a point where the law was in place that the salary for, I don't call it salary, for the individuals had to be done going hand in hand with their term. And that was not the case for this year. So now it's that the municipality, and here we are in September. So.
I have a big concern because we as a council set a budget for this line item. We set, if I believe, 82,000, is that correct?
Correct. That would include them and the deputies and any of the part-timers. Basically, any pay goes in the part-time line for that group, yes.
So now you're going to be over budgeting, which you said you take from contingency funds, but I don't think that's what we should be doing. We budget a line item. Maybe next budget, if my opinion, if we determine that the salary should be a different rate, I think we should budget for that. That's what we set budgets for, in my eyes. What is the contingency fund used for? What's the term?
Well, contingency is for covering unsettled salaries. So, for example, if you had a union contract and they had not settled, we're going to budget at their existing pay, and then the difference would come from contingency. So it's any salary line item that has not been determined at the time of budget, which in this case would be this, and any other line items that could occur. You may have it for covering things such as snow overtime. We had a terrible situation last year with a lot of vacancies in the police department. Contingency assisted with those overtime. So contingency is for anything unforeseen.
But this shouldn't be an unforeseen. This should be budgeted for. And, that's what I take this as. We budgeted the money for them with our budget. Next year, if we need to change it, we should change it. It's just my thought.
Let me ask a clarifying question, piggybacking on that. Are you doing this because of the term, or are you doing this? So this goes back to, again, the mayor's question too, kind of, right? And I'm just combining those two data points. So you said like there was a missing year, right? Is that because of the term of the registrars that you are doing this in January, or
No.
is it like you just picked up a date? That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, it's not quite that good.
We did it historically in
Yeah.
the past.
So the last resolution that we had for them was in September of '23, so it's 2 years back. That September of '23 resolution covered them for January of '24. So with the state law saying we should have done one for January of '25, that was not done. It was not intended at that time to go according to the term. So we are presenting it for,
Yeah, so going back to Fran's question, could we have seen that we have to do it in January? We did or we did not, that doesn't matter. Could we have planned for that?
I would think so.
I thought they did.
They did.
I would
It
think
was
so.
a proposal presented to the town council during budget.
This is my point, right? This is my point, that I think that we reviewed this. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get, because I thought
okay.
we had reviewed.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that, I'm just clarifying, like, because the point you made, then Fran made, so the January thing is, this was the plan. Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Like, okay.
All right, so through all this, what did we budget?
We budgeted.
Because I don't have it in front of me, I thought it was there.
Yeah,
but it's
we
not.
budgeted, and like I said, and that is unusual to budget for a part-time, but I did put in an increase of 3%, which would bring them to 32. Well, probably closer to 30, right?
And they're asking
29.9.
for 30, and
Correct.
we're looking to give 36, so this becomes a contingency problem this year, not a problem, but whatever we take it, but then it becomes every ongoing year, we've just increased the budget,
True.
right? So, and this is not a full-time salary, but nonetheless, it'd be hard to take it down.
Correct.
And the main reason for this is the early voting and, just much more time spent, which I empathize with that. So we budgeted 30, so it's only 6,000 more out of contingency.
Correct. For 2 people, 12.
I know,
Okay.
total of 6, right? Not a total of 12.
No, a total of 12. That is one individual.
I'm sorry, total of 12.
Yes, sir.
And the deputy registrar is already included, or the
That's
deputy registrar
contractual, right?
next to?
The deputy
The
registrar.
deputies was budgeted at 3%, this is 3%. So that would be included
It's a
already.
12,000 increase.
It's the piece that is an increase unbudgeted.
Easy for contingency to eat that up, but then it's part of our budget going forward. Okay. Alan, did you say you wanted to vet this more, or?
Well, I said we needed to be able to have a discussion. If it was on consent, we couldn't even discuss it.
Okay.
So that's why we put it here.
Well, and that's exactly what my question was going to be to Alan. Could this have been tabled? Yeah, could this have been tabled on finance until you had proper representation?
Yes, it could have been. We had it on the consent agenda for tonight, and we didn't want to approve it to send to the council as a consent item. So we said we'd put it on new business. We could table it now to get,
No, I'm saying, why didn't finance table it before it became a consent item on the agenda?
It's not a consent item on the agenda.
No, when it was originally proposed on the consent agenda, why wasn't it stopped prior to that?
I'd have to
Coming
say,
to the agenda.
if I may, because I think in all honesty, because we had our finance meeting at 4 o'clock today, and we're putting it on the agenda.
This was already published. This
Yes,
was already okay.
we had a special meeting, so the timing, otherwise you would have Thursday, our normal finance, we would have known whether it's tabled, and it wouldn't have appeared. So this timing of the meetings made it unique to finance.
the original finance meeting fell
Yeah.
during the 9/11 memorial service. So that's why we moved it.
Because, I mean, I would be an advocate on having it vetted through finance with your recommendation to the council.
Well, we could make a motion here to send it back to finance.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have one meeting before one meeting before the.
Oh, one meeting
election
before
cycle.
early vote, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the one comment I'll make here is you're looking at a 26% increase on the registrar side and a 3% increase on the deputy registrar side.
Wow.
I recognize the increased work, the extra early voting process of 14 days, but that's really a significant increase compared to other salaries within the town. So I really do think we need to understand it better.
Well, I don't know if we say, actually, the original request was substantially higher than this. So this was a concerted number of meetings negotiating it down, and I won't go to where we began, but it was substantially higher. And we did look at other towns, but I'm fine with bringing the research back to finance.
Well, in addition to, I mean, they've probably had more than a 26% increase in hours dedicated, right? I mean, that's the
Correct.
the
That's
balancing act,
the
right?
argument, is the hours
And
involved.
they didn't get it last year because early voting had just kind of started, if I'm not mistaken, so.
Well, it all goes back to the unfunded mandates, right?
Exactly.
So the state
You know,
continues
we're
to
not getting
pound
help,
us.
and you got to do this, right?
Right, and we are left with really no recourse.
So the motion would be to send back to a finance committee for further vetting, for further analysis.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Abstain.
Mimi, you're back? Yeah, that's fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're good. So moving on to mayor's report. It's been quite a while since our last meeting, but I will keep it quite short for everyone. I just want to highlight some of the business growth that has been reported in the past 6 months in the Hartford Business Journal, because it's super exciting for us to see this, especially at 55 Capitol Boulevard, where we are seeing they are at 75% occupancy now, which is really a big deal, because this is, a business park, and, our office space is now filling back in little by little post-COVID. And a lot of municipalities are having issues filling, their office and business parks, because folks are working from home. And that's why the state is really looking at coming into municipalities and inventorying what is empty, and then, asking towns to flip that into residential, but we're not having that issue here in Rocky Hill. So that's wonderful to see that strong comeback. Rocky Hill Orthopedic Association announced an expansion. They purchased 6 acres here in Rocky Hill. They're going to be expanding that. Massachusetts Manufacturer is moving to Rocky Hill and will be occupying a space in our industrial property that has been vacant since 2018. MTU Aerospace is constructing an expansion. I want to say that might be their third expansion here. That construction is underway. That's great news. And Ray had mentioned previously that there is a major commercial printer who is going to be relocating to Rocky Hill from Hartford County. And so we look forward to that. I think all of that is a testament to Rocky Hill being a great place to live, work, and play. On September 6th, we had our Festa Italiana, and it was a huge success. Notwithstanding the weather, lots of folks came out, and I want to thank the Festa Committee for bringing this immersive experience to our community. It's as we had discussed with Tom Kosker, Commissioner of Inclusion and Innovation, how important it is to bring people together from different cultures and heritages and backgrounds, and just sort of shared that lived experience. And that's precisely what the Festa does. And I want to go on the record and just thank Dennis House from WTNH News, who always serves as our MC, and he really attracts a lot of folks, and we are very thankful for the time he spends with us. The community held a backpack bonanza that served hundreds of children who came out. The fire department passed out these backpacks that were donated by a local business, and we're super grateful for both of them, and we look forward to continuing these types of endeavors in the future. I want to thank Commissioner Desai. We had touched on this previously for his service to the community as MDC liaison. You know, MDC has agreed to move the fire hydrant down a new road so that we can have better access to water for the very many public uses we intend to put forward in the future. And as Councilor Whalen mentioned, waiving some of those fees. So thank you, Commissioner Desai, for your service to the community. The Fall Festival and Corn Maze is now open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 6, and they will be adding Fridays in October. So that is run through Fairweather Acres, and we so love to see this annual event, which brings folks from all over the state to have fun with their families. I have started a new role on the Board of Governors for a Global Edu-Language Foundation, which originated in Manhattan. It is part of the Council General of Italy's mission to merge the arts and education as it pertains to Italian heritage and culture. And we were going to be bringing a lot of that to Connecticut, and I'm real excited to be a founding member of that expansion of this really important service, which again is breaking down barriers and bringing communities together in unique and thoughtful ways. And I think I have hit it out. And I will just do a quick reminder that the Community Unity event is this Saturday, 9 to 11, and Commissioner Kosker mentioned there's going to be some free breakfast and lots of fun activities. So please, I encourage everyone to come out. And that's now you, Mr. Carpentino.
Raymond Carpentino.
Raymond Carpentino, excuse me.
You have my one-page town manager's report, and I'm going to skip to community development. That was already, Steve already talked about that. HR and legal compliance, they coordinated a OSHA-mandated respiratory protection fit testing for the police department, including medical clearance and train the trainer, and documentation for requirements for abatement activities. Parks and Rec, there's 25 summer camp season has ended, and they saw around 1,100 campers attending Summerscape. Pretty impressive. During the community center shutdown a few weeks ago, the gymnasium floor was stripped and sanded down and recoated, which includes, of course, pickleball courts, lines, and in addition to basketball and volleyball. And most importantly, this past summer, the pool season wrapped up with the doggy daycare at the pool. Or should I say doggy day at the pool? It's anticipated activity. For economic development, our economic development manager is putting together a strolling map that highlights things to do, places to go, things to eat. Personal services on the Silas-Deane Highway and Cromwell Avenue. And Alondra is also creating what she has termed Shoppy Hill Saturday for Small Business Saturday, which is on November 29th. And so the hope is that together with the map, we can showcase more businesses than we had in past on Small Business Day Saturday. And you may have or may have not noticed that town staff has volunteered their time to participate in the most recent videos trying to solicitate public input on how we can improve the efficiency and effectiveness of town operations. And if you haven't caught it yet, you don't really need to look at it, but you know.
I think everyone should look at our Parks
I
and
know,
Rec Department one.
A fantastic job. Like it was said earlier, it comes across as, oh, town employees are real people. You know, they're here, and we just want to know what you think. Most town.
Most town employees.
Can you,
The
can
hostility,
you send
right?
the link to all of us?
Website, right?
Sure.
Is that on the website?
But is it connected to YouTube anyway? Okay, great. Yeah, if you can send me the YouTube link, I can share that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's super cool. Congratulations on that.
thank you.
That's super innovative.
Oh, one more thing. Yeah, DOT is starting their multiple wrong-way detection activities at several exit and entrance ramps along 91, and they will be working on exit 23 starting today, going through up to September 18th. Their wrong-way detection mechanism. So just want people to know that there'll be some lane closures possibly and a little bit of delay. With that, I have concluded my report.
I'm just thinking, because I kind of have a question, and maybe it's just not appropriate. It's really about how many times we're up there on the highway, right, for all of these fires and crashes and everything else. So maybe, we can put that on the agenda for next time, because it just seems like we really don't get anywhere with the state helping us on this. Every now and then they put out some troopers, but, there was supposed to be so much activity going on and potentially creating a study. I think that was a bill that they were considering, creating these safety corridor zones, and that would have freed up money for them to come out and take a look at what's going on our stretch of the highway. So I think we really need to get to the bottom of this. I mean, we tried a few years ago. Remember, we met with everybody who would listen to us at the state. But it just seems to be getting worse. And while we welcome the revenue, we certainly don't want to put our first responders in danger.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, with that, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.